Morning or afternoon, whenever you're watching this. It's morning for me. Can you tell? All these bags under my eyes. So, I'm going to talk today about money, talk about the stock market. I'm going to talk about the housing market, talk about money in general. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm none of these things. This is not advice in any way. This is nothing more than the ramblings of an old man. All right, that being said, money, investing. Everybody's got an opinion on it. Everybody thinks, you go on YouTube, oh, the market's going to do this product is going to explode. Oh, if you don't invest in this right, if someone's telling you, says, if you don't invest in this right now, you'll be left behind. Um, that's a pump and dump. Okay, who own an asset are trying to increase its value so they can sell it. Okay, anything you see on CNBC is garbage. You can't trust them; they're liars. There are some channels out there I watch. I couldn't tell you the names off the top of my head. I think they're pretty solid channels. I think they know what they're talking about. Maybe I'll do a video where I click on them and show you who I listen to, who I got my notification bells set to. But I can't think of them off the top of the head right now. So this is just general thoughts. As it is right now, July going into August of 2025, I see a lot of people saying, the market's going to crash, the market's going to crash, housing market's going to crash, the housing market is crashing. Nobody really knows. Let me just say that. Nobody really knows. There's no logic or rhyme or reason to the markets. There used to be a long time ago, because after the great crash of the 1929 or whatever, they put regulations in place to basically make it impossible for non-rich people to invest in the market. And because of that, all these rich people had basically the same plan and they all stuck to it. But right now, markets are a free for all and it can do anything because you've got, 18-year-old kids investing, you've got old men investing, you've got people who have no idea what they're doing investing. You have people who think they know what they're doing investing and finding out that they don't. A crash can happen at any moment for any reason whatsoever. When we had that most recent dip in the market, and it was a big one, but it didn't last long, and people thought, oh, it's a market correction, blah blah blah. It wasn't, and people are saying right now, stocks are overvalued. Are they? Because they're going off of what Warren Buffett says. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Warren Buffett's an idiot, but the dude's in his 90s. Is he really there? I mean, think about most 90-year-olds you know. Like, think about their understanding of how the world works. They think they live in the world of the past, and it's not. I mean, just look at, a 60 or 70-year-old. Hell, I'm almost 50. What the fuck do I know? you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think I've got a pretty good head on my shoulders, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. People are saying, oh, the housing market's starting to dip. And this is an indicator, and they're looking at 2008 and all this. And we have very different conditions than what was going on in 2008. And maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. But I think even if there were foreclosures, I think people would be buying them up so fast that wouldn't really even be an issue. I mean, it would take something really, really devastating. I mean, and the fact that you've got so many foreign entities buying up property in America right now. I think the biggest issue and concern right now is the devaluation of the dollar. And before I get into that, let me do a story. Okay. My grandfather, who was a brilliant stock trader, who would ramble about market psychologies and this and that and all this. And towards the end of his life, he was like, oh, the dollar is going to crash, and, because these idiots in Washington don't know what they're doing. And he's right. The people in Washington are idiots, no doubt about it. But he's like, oh, these idiots in Washington, and the dollar's gonna crash and blah 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 blah, and just you wait and see. I'm gonna make a lot of money when this all catches up and blah blah blah. And he was waiting and waiting and waiting for the stock market to crash, and he died waiting for that stock market to crash. He never saw it. He never saw it. Never happened. But he was right. The dollar is being devalued. Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I'm seeing, one of the chatters on the internet I'm seeing, is that people are putting their money into assets. And I think that's definitely a thing. I think that's a good idea if you can do it. It's your biggest way of countering the devaluing dollar, and that's why I think these indicators that they say house prices are going down, prices are getting cut, slashed, etc. I think those are the panic sellers. It seems like we're mostly seeing that in the new constructions, or people who bought a second home and moved and were trying to get a good price on their first house that they're selling and just not seeing it. But at some point here, the interest rates are going to go down. And when that happens, I think the housing prices are going to shoot back up again. I really do. I think that seems to be what makes the most sense. as those it's like, I think a lot of people are waiting. I think they're anticipating that these interest rates are going to go down, and so they're not buying because they're going to say, "Oh, well, I can buy this house when the interest rate goes down," which isn't really a good move, by the way, because you can always refinance. There's no reason to wait for the interest rates to get better. But people definitely do panic buy when they think the rates are going up. And so and since we had the rates go up in the past couple of years here, we can need to ask how many people panic bought thinking the rates were going to go up. So we're either going to see them starting to dump these properties, which is what would cause the housing market to go down. If the rates don't go down, like if the Fed were to say, "No, sorry, Donald Trump, we're not going to lower the interest rates. We're bigger than you are. You can't tell us what to do." If that happens, yeah, I think you might see the housing prices go down, as people start to panic sell to get rid of properties that they shouldn't have bought. But I think the more likely scenario, what's going to happen is the interest rates are going to get lowered. And when they do, you're going to see housing prices going up. So I've got a property and I'm sick of living in America. I want to get the hell out of this country. But I'm holding for now. I'm holding for now. Because I think those land values are going to go up. If they don't, if the housing and land prices go down, which I don't think they are, but if they were, that would mean that the value of the dollar is increasing, in which case it might be okay to stay in this country. That might be a good reason to stay. So either way, I'm in a win-win situation. But you might not be. And if you're trying to figure out what to do with your money, you know, the only recommendation, this isn't advice, this is a recommendation. This is what I would do, and this is what I am doing, is I'm kind of splitting my money three ways. Assets, physical assets like land, money in the market, and cash, right? Because to have all three of those, it gives you a lot of room to maneuver, right? It's like, I guess you could call it like a holy trinity of finance, right? You have to have those three things, because if you don't have one of those and a situation arises, you could get really screwed, big time. So if the markets go down and you don't have the cash to move on that, then you're in trouble because you're screwed. You can't act. You can't take advantage of the situation. Likewise, if the stock market goes up and you don't have stock, it's a terrible time to buy. You want to sell, right? But you don't have anything to sell. Same thing with land. If the land prices go down, you want to be able to buy. You're going to need that cash for down payments and stuff, borrowing, etc. Because no one wants to lend money to somebody who doesn't have any. You have to have money to borrow money. That's weird, I know. And if the land prices go up and you don't have anything to sell, then you're in trouble there too. Because then you can't buy anything. Everything's too expensive. So you kind of have to have an even balance of all three. And this is where I've screwed up in the past, not having that proper balance of the three pools. I've either had money, no investments, no assets, or I've had investments, no money, no assets, or assets, no money, no investments. And if you're in either of those situations, you're just kind of screwed. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in a rebalancing phase. I'm like, okay, I've got a lot of land. I've got a good chunk of investments, and I've had a little cash. I've been operating in debt. So now I'm building up my cash reserves right now so that I have cash so that I could make these moves when I need to. But yeah, don't listen to people on the internet, me especially. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about. We're just talking about what we think works for us and not doesn't necessarily work for you. Maybe I'll do another video talking specifically about the stock market and how I do my investments, but right now that's just kind of like the general how money works kind of thing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helps you in some way with thinking about what you're doing. And like, subscribe, share. Yay!